scary, when you're just throwing things out there and you're just creating stuff and not knowing where it's going to end up. But I think, one thing I've learned is to trust myself, and a lot of my ideas come to me in my sleep. So I know like that's either from God or it's just what it's supposed to be. But I feel like I just follow whatever that is that comes to me, and I just I'm an executor. Like, so I'm not gonna, if something goes wrong, I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna quit. I'm gonna pivot and I'm gonna find a solution to it. So, there's been things that I've wanted to, and I also have learned in entrepreneurship, I think this is the most important, because people want results now. They want them like immediately, like, oh, I'm gonna create a business and then I wanted to start making six figures. Like, and they don't realize the amount of time that it takes. It's just the laws of the universe that, you have to plant the seed and you have to let the seed grow. It's not going to just be a plant just because you put the seed in the ground. So that's an important part. And so some of these ideas that are happening right now, like that are actually in production and happening, are ideas I had 3 years ago. And so I know that these things take time. Like, I mean, this vodka, this is my little mock-up bottle, this is my vodka, my lover friend. I wanted to do a wine before COVID, and then COVID happened and the wines couldn't come in because all the crazy logistics happening over in Italy, and so then now that kind of got put on the back burner. But I know I wanted a tangible product in hand, and we're big in the business of food and alcohol. So then a vodka came my way. And so it's like, these are things that you have to kind of manifest into fruition and kind of plant the seed and let it grow. And now it's finally coming too. So, I think a lot of people, they look at what I've done and they're like, wow, how did you do it? And it's like, this is like a lot of hard work. And like, this isn't like, oh, I just one day just said, I'm gonna do a TV show. And it was just like magically amazing and everything just worked out for me. It was not like that at all. There was a million things.
You only see the end result.
Yeah. People would have no idea.
Peace, everyone. Welcome back to another great episode of Trust Fund Baby Podcast. Today, we have a special guest here, like a powerhouse in economics and in business. We have Miss Christine Curran, the executive producer, and I also believe the creator of Dining Divas, which is, I was fortunate enough to be able to check out your show. It's amazing. I love it. I love food and I love women. So please, let's talk more.
Thank you so much for having me. Good to hear.
Yes, ma'am. It's a pleasure to have you today. And please tell us a little bit about the show and what was the thought behind you actually getting into starting it. And I believe you're like in your 4th season right now.
Yeah, so we've had the show for 6 years now, and we have done multiple different shows. So we have the Dining Divas, and then we have our travel series, Destination Divas. And really, the thought behind it was just to create a show that brought women together, because I was really tired of watching women fight on TV. Every show, from Basketball Wives to Housewives to side chicks. I mean, all of them. They're just I mean, look, there's a market for it, but I don't feel like that really represents women in their best light. And I wanted to create something that really brought people together and was still fun and entertainment driven and impactful and educational. And that's what Dining Divas is all about. It's a lifestyle show. It's about the stories that we tell along our journeys. I mean, we're doing the fancy yachts and the private jets and all the fun, fancy food, but it's really the people that join us on those dinners and in those experiences that we're learning from and educating the audience with their knowledge.
What kind of got you into it? Because outside of like loving the lifestyle and having access to certain things, if you don't mind me asking, what area are you in?
I'm in Fort Lauderdale.
Oh, okay, you right up the street from me.
Yeah.
So you clearly got access to yachts and stuff, and we have a certain lifestyle that we are allotted just living in South Florida. So I'm pretty sure that made it a lot easier for you to develop the brand.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. I actually film more outside of South Florida than I do in South Florida. But I did start it here in Florida. But we've been traveling. We've opened chapters now all over the United States. So we opened Dining Divas Texas. We have Divas there in Texas. We opened Dining Divas New York last month. And so we have Divas there. And we're opening California next. So we have 4 chapters up.
That's Amazing. No, like
Thank
I
you.
didn't. I was fortunate. I read your EPK and like your website and stuff, but I didn't know that you were moving like that. And we have. I'm big on women empowerment, women in finance, just because, especially in the women education component for women who teach more about finance, because women are the first teachers in the house. And like I know all the things that my mom was able to share with me and how it impacted my life. So I know the more assets and the more access that women have, the more we can move forward as a nation. So I really like am big on making sure that we can get women in better positions, even though like I know a lot of women in really good positions.
I love that. I love what you said. Women are the first teachers in the house. That's very impactful. That's very true.
So what is one of your favorite restaurants that you were able to do Dining Divas at?
Oh, that's a hard question. I mean, we've had such great experiences everywhere. We've been able to eat in Colombia, St. Lucia. We're going to the Exumas in 2 weeks. New York has amazing restaurants. I've dined at a place in Utah that was incredible. I mean, there's just so many. It's really like I said, it's really about the stories that we're telling, and so all the food is amazing. All the food is unique. It's like the cultural behind it, the cultural stories behind it, and why somebody opened that restaurant, or why they fused two different types of cuisines together in their restaurant that really make the food even more special. Like just the love that they put into the food, that really make it taste the best. But that's a hard question. But everywhere, if you watch the show, you'll see why I can't really answer that because there's so many good places.
Trust me, I get it. But you said like I'm biased about certain things because of where I'm originally from. You know, like how New Yorkers are biased about their pizza, even though like I'm not from New York. I'm from Detroit, so I really favor Detroit style pizza. And it's just you understand like food is a personal thing, it's a personal experience. But even more so, having the podcast to be able to create that synergy and have those conversations with people, or the show more so, I feel like it's detrimental. So how has your relationship with media been as you've been going through this journey throughout these 4 seasons?
As far as other media covering us, or how they're
You building out your brand yourself with media, like the learning experiences and kind of the trials and tribulations.
Oh, sure. I mean, I've always loved production. That's just my passion. Creating stories and creating projects and then seeing them to fruition and being able to be proud of what you created. So, from start till now, I mean, our growth has been astronomical. Of course, you're always trying to perfect it and get better at it. And create such a epic experience for the viewer, so they want to continue to watch your show. So, we've definitely grown a lot over the last 6 years, just perfecting our story and how we tell the story and how we portray the different people that are on our show to the audience, and making sure they're engaged and they're educated and they're enjoying it. So yeah, it's been a growing lesson. And we have more cameras, more lavaliers, bigger productions now. So there's a lot that goes into that, like a lot of planning and strategic creation between so many partners and so many people that are all have their idea of what it should be and how we should do it. So it's a lot of collaboration. That's what it really is.
So business based question. Um, when it comes to getting to a point where you can get to having multiple cameras, multiple lavaliers from just starting off to a single camera, what were some of those steps like for you as far as like business development or being able to come in contact with people so that you can know that this is a good team for you to start building with?
Yeah, I mean, it comes down to budget, right? So when we first started, I mean, I pounded on so many doors for like 4 months, thinking that my reputation in the entertainment industry I'd easily be able to start this project. And it wasn't that easy. And I got my first sponsor at like $1,500. And my partner, which is like nothing, now we're getting like $30,000. But my partner had to man like 3 cameras by himself. Or no, I think the first shoot we had 2 cameras, but he was manning 2 cameras by himself, one on a tripod, one for a roaming. And it was a wild experience, trying to create something. We created something that was well worth a lot more than $1,500 with $1,500. And now, being able to actually be able to afford, as our sponsor dollars have gone up, being able to afford all the bells and whistles and be able to get the new equipment and more people on board. It's a growth thing. You just have to grow into it. It doesn't start off that way unless you're lucky and you've got major dollars from day one. But when you're growing something organically the way we did, it's beautiful to watch the growth, too, and see like how we've been able to expand and how the productions have gotten so much better.
In your earlier days, what was your filming schedule like? In like, how much did consistency play a role into where you are today?
Like our filming schedule, I mean, we film all the time, so we're always filming, but it's a matter of raising the dollar. It's a business, so you have to raise the dollars and you have to schedule the productions, and then you have to execute, and then you have to edit. And so now we're before we would do maybe an episode a month, or a shoot a month. Now we're doing, I mean, we're shooting every week, so pretty much. So we were doing multiple episodes a month, and it's a lot of planning, a lot of logistics.
And this is full production with camera people, editors, everything. This isn't a single man job. So one, I applaud you for being consistent, but sticking at it and just understanding what it is to build something like for yourself like that. And
Thank
because
you.
like 6 years of consistency, most people don't understand. Even for most people who may be in the entertainment industry, it usually takes them on average like 10 years to get a break and before you even actually start seeing them in some form of media. So, if you don't mind, can you tell us a little bit about your background in entertainment? Because I did see a few things that you were a part of.
Yeah, I've done so many things. So my whole life has been entertainment. I finished college and I became a model and TV host right out of college. So I've never had a job. I've never worked for anybody, besides when I was like a kid and worked at Dairy Queen. But as an adult, I've never had a job. I've always been self-employed and created my own businesses and projects. And so I saw a need. It started as a model when I saw a need for other women that my clients needed more women. And so I'm like, well, I'll book my friends, but I'm going to get paid for it. I'm not going to do it for free. So I started my own company, Fort Lickerdale Entertainment. I ran that for 13 years, booked over 800 models. And then, being in entertainment, you always dabble in a lot of different things, because if you're going to be consistent and make money, you can't just be a swimwear model. You can't just be, you got to really have your toes in the sand in a lot of different places. So I created events, I created fashion shows, I monetize them. The big trick in entertainment is really, you have these great ideas, but you have to think about how do you make it into a business? How do you monetize it? So like I would create events and then sell tickets, or I would raise sponsor dollars and then get, promise them at least 100 people in the room. Like, so you have to like come up with different ways and strategies to create money for that project, to be able to do that project. And a lot of people I noticed in the entertainment business, they go off passion first and they don't think about the money, and then they get stuck, or they end up spending their money from their other job on this passion project and never really get it anywhere, because they're not thinking about the business side of it. They're only thinking about the passion part of it. And so I've been really fortunate. I'm a business savvy woman, and that's what I've always been into. But because I love entertainment and I love creating projects, and I've always been able to monetize all of my projects. So I don't know if you're familiar. You said you're down the street. Do you remember the Jello shot girls? The girl like
I'm
to be at Blue
familiar.
and all the
Hmm.
different nightclubs in town, and they danced on the bar. Those were all my girls. So I did
Really?
very, very well. Yeah, I did very well in my 20s. I had a 2,000 square foot warehouse in Oakland Park, and costume room, and a party bus with a stripper pole in it, like all the fun things, bells and whistles. And so I booked like the Jello Shot Girls was a big money maker, and then I did, like I said, fashion shows, music videos. I booked talent for TV shows. I mean, just all the different things, bartenders at events. I mean, whatever it was, because, and like I said, in entertainment, you really have to have your finger on the pulse of like all the different opportunities, and you have to be able to create a financial return for everything that you're putting your time and energy into, especially if you want to do it full time. So that's kind of, and from there, as you continue to grow in the entertainment industry and meet more people and experience new opportunities, that's where my love for production really shined through. And I realized that was what really where I wanted to focus. So I shifted into Dining Divas, because I wanted to create a legacy piece for myself and my daughter as well. I had my daughter at 17, and I booked over 800 models, so I felt like I had a lot of daughters as over my 20s. But I really wanted to see women come together. I really wanted to see women elevate together. I wanted to work with my peers. I loved all the women that worked for me, all the single moms and college girls. But as I was getting older and they're getting younger, I was like, I really want to work with women that are at my level, that I can elevate with them. And so that's one of the driving forces behind starting Dining Divas.
No, and that's amazing. So you have an interesting. Most people who I know in the and I know a decent amount of people in the entertainment industry, from rappers. I've interviewed a few. I'm good friends with a decent amount of them, and most of them don't have your mindset when it comes to the business because they're so passionate about it. I haven't heard many of them say, let me think about the business aspect so that I can make sure I can monetize it. So that leads me to ask you, what did you go to school for?
Marketing, actually.
Makes sense. Makes sense then.
But I
Because
didn't
you
know
came
what I
within.
wanted to do. I was like, what am I? I'm like, I know I'm smart. I got full paid scholarships. I'm like, but I don't know what I want to do with my life. And I remember getting out of college just like baffled. And I'm like, well, I'm making money right now just being a model. So I'm just gonna continue down that path and see what turns up for me. And then that just transpired into creating a company and doing it really, really well in my 20s with that. And so I've been blessed for sure. Of course, I've had my struggles. It's not entertainment industry is not easy at all. It's very cutthroat. You really have to pave your own path. There's no cookie cutter way in or out of it. Like it's just really about like finding the right people, aligning with the right people, collaborating. Collaboration is key in the entertainment industry. I think it is in all business, but I think it's really, really key in entertainment. I have some great relationships that I've built over the 18 years I've been doing this. And it's really impactful, the people that you surround yourself with.
And I can tell that one, you've been very mindful of the way that you have surrounded yourself around a group of people, even for you to have a production team that you have, for you to be able to get to a point where you've been in business for this same business and you've been consistently growing for 6 years. That says a lot because like if you do any form of business, firing is part of learning who people are, because hiring is guessing.
Yeah.
And that was one of the brightest things that I've ever realized. Like anytime you hire somebody, you're guessing, but when you fire them, you actually have an understanding of who they are and how they operate. And sometimes that's unfortunate. So
Oh, it's
whenever we're in business.
that's a great way to put it. I mean, I've worked with people for a year and thought highly of them, and then all of a sudden it's like they're a completely different person. So you never really know. But I strongly believe that everybody has a purpose in your life, and they're here for a time, place, reason, and a season. And you have to appreciate whatever it was, a lesson or a blessing. Either way, what you got out of it, because you're always getting some kind of value. You know.
Perception is everything, and understanding that these are lessons, not losses, with every situation will help you move a lot better in life. And just always having a positive mindset. And you seem like for the direction that you're moving in with philanthropy, women education, women empowerment, and not even to promote it like it's just about women, because like how we stated earlier, if certain things don't happen within the either part of our community, it doesn't positively impact the rest of us. So I see no problem with women having more opportunities, making more money. I honestly don't. It doesn't bother me. I'm pro women being able to have more access to things, because I know how women have made my life better. I wouldn't be in a position I'm in today without the women in my life. I
I
was
love
raised
that.
by all women pretty much.
That's awesome. I love that. We
I
need more
just
men like you.
no, it's you have to understand, like we have a balance, and the more that we assist each other and we push each other brands forward, the easier it makes things for both of us on each side. So reciprocity is really the name of the game, and that's why I love what you're doing. So have you gotten to, what does your philanthropy more so look like, as far as like when you deal with the youth, because I know you said you're dealing with younger ladies now.
Well, no, I'm dealing well, no, I used to, yes, and when I had all
Okay.
the models, yeah, I had a lot of I had a lot of all different ages, but yeah, there was a lot of young 21-year-olds that were working for me, and back in my 20s and 30s, when I had my entertainment company. So, I know that I had an impact on them, helping them.
What was that like? Just the oh, like you said, you had almost like 800 young girls that you were dealing with at one time. So just that's a lot of energy, attitude to have to maintain and oversee, especially in Florida.
Yeah, it was a learning lesson for me, like, dealing with so many women. I mean, I didn't have 800 at once, but over the 13 years, 800 women have worked for me at some point. I probably had about between 50 and 100 consistently at any given time. And, yeah, it's when they're young, there's a lot of like crazy stuff happening, right? Like they're trying to figure out life, and, and then it's a lot that you have to help them through and deal with, when people work with you. It's just, that's just part of the name of the game, right? So now it's funny because a lot of people are always like, "You're so calm about things." I'm like, "Listen, I have seen and done so much. It's like there's nothing to ever freak out about. Like you just pivot and figure it out. Just come up solution mindset all the time." So, but it was really great. It was great to experience that. It was great to learn lessons from that. I mean, obviously, everything that you do in life builds your character up to where you are now, and then what you're learning from now is going to continue to build your character. So it definitely set me up for the position that I'm in. I'm turning 40 this year, and I'm the
You
CEO
look
of.
amazing, by the way. You
Oh,
look
thank
like you're in
you.
your 20s.
Thank you. I'll take it. I'll take it. But I'm the CEO of a company, and my partner is 75 years old, and he's been my partner off the books for 18 years or 16 years, since like the second year in entertainment. And so we've really complemented each other, and now we're officially partners. But I run the company on my side, he runs the production side, and I have a lot of people that I have to deal with every day. It's a big job. I got people all over the United States and clients, and it's just a lot of moving parts and a lot of managing relationships and people's personalities. So all the things I went through early on in my first company have really helped set me up for this position I'm in now. And we're raising money. We have our own network, so I'm building a network, the Dining Empire, which is in the App Store right now, and we're going to be doing that a hard launch on that soon. It literally just got in the App Store, so they're still working out a few tweaks, but really excited about that because streaming is where it's at, and owning your viewer is the when you think of the business side. So these are the things I've thought of. It's like creating TV shows doesn't create wealth. Some of these shows can make millions of dollars, but it takes a very long time. It's very hard, and most of the time they have to sell their concept to a network that can at any time shut it down and put it on the shelf, and you can't ever touch it again. So I never wanted to do that. So I own my content, I own my IP. I've done deals with Travel Channel. We just aired on Travel Channel last month. I do deals with WeTV. I have deals, with Google and Apple. And I'm working on a really big deal. I can't say yet, but I'll tell you soon. But I own my IP, so I own that, and that creates wealth because now I continue to relicense it. I have opportunities now to put it on my own network, years and years of content, and then build a fan base there that I own the viewer. And then that creates a valuation for the company. So like, these are the things, like, I love what I do and I have a passion for it, but I have to think, how do I get to an exit? How do I create wealth? And that's why I have investors, because if I didn't have those things
You're a
in
great CEO.
place.
You're a great because you have a forward thinking mind, and you also it's one of the main things that I tell people when it comes to social media. It doesn't matter how large your following is, you're renting that audience there. So when you
Absolutely.
said
Use them at any time.
you understand exactly, that's why you said you want to own your viewer. So I understand why you will transition into the streaming component. But so I don't necessarily know how much acting experience you have, but you're clearly aware of what like price points are like when it comes to television versus streaming. Is does that have a large reason behind why you would want to build out your own network outside of controlling your intellectual property?
Yeah, I mean, cable, we've been on cable for the last 6 years, and now we're actually moving off cable completely. And now we're going all streaming, and for a lot of reasons. I mean, definitely the monetary reason is number one. I mean, the way that the dinosaur era of the way they have cable set up is not for the content creator to win ever. Like we don't win ever. It's like, and the numbers of viewership is always going down. So it's finally just time just to completely cut off of it, you know. So it was a great run. I'm glad we got to do it. But I'm really excited about having on demand because you have to have people tune in at a certain time on a certain day. I mean, it's just it, and then it's not even a monetarily beneficial situation. So it doesn't make sense. Like we're raising all of our own money. We have to do all of this hard work just to benefit their network, where streaming really gives back to the content creator. You can create another revenue stream on top of what you've already created, from raising sponsor dollars or whatever you did. But to be able to actually make money on your content that's where it's at. I mean, you got to have residual income. These projects are huge. We put all this hard work into it, and then you can't make any more money off of it. It makes no sense. So I really love the way that streaming has opened up so many doors and opportunities for content creators, and on demand is where it's at because everybody wants to watch on their own time when it's convenient for them.
Yeah, that is. I've been saying it more so that streaming is the future. Even when it comes to podcasting, there isn't really a way to get away from it because of like how just the advancement in technology, people being on their own time, on their own schedules, a lot of the dinosaur age things. Like they're even trying to get rid of AM radio. Even I think that's a terrible idea because it's so informative, but they're consistently trying to remove old technology and reassert new things. And streaming will, even the way how we deal in social media, it will become more of a streaming instead of a posting situation, just because of the direction that we're being forced in. Even to the point where we have some podcast episodes where we stream with gamers just because we understand the direction and the algorithm that is allotted for gaming streamers versus people who are just doing what we in real life streaming. But
Isn't that
it's way
crazy? It's so wild that people watch people play games. I can't. It's crazy.
It's interesting. And it's I think it's more about the reactions. We remember at one time on YouTube, everybody wanted to watch cat videos.
I
That
do
cat
like
video
cat
was
videos.
the most popular thing for a long
I love cat videos. I
time.
do find it interesting though. I find it interesting that so when streaming first started, it was just straight on demand. But I have noticed a lot of streaming platforms now have the old school time slots and shows that are, I guess, for people who don't know what to watch and they're confused. They just turn it on. But I'm like, that is so funny that
Like the
we got
TV
rid of it,
guide.
brought it back through streaming. But it's an interesting concept
So
having both.
what would be the focus of your streaming application? Will you just be housing your shows there? Do you plan on doing any form of expansion if you're able to speak about it right now?
Yeah, I mean, I have a 10-year plan, but right now it is housing all the shows, which is great. And we do have live streaming that we built into the app. We're not using it currently, but
Mm.
what my big plan is to do live streaming shows on the app where people can engage with us in real time while we're filming. So I think that's a power play because user retention is very important on an app. So to build valuation, it's not just how many users you have, but also how much time are they spending. So if you are doing giveaways, or you can win something if you watch the live stream and you participate and somehow and you're engaging with us, there's just so much opportunity. I also noticed that it's really big right now. All these different apps that have, like, you give gifts like roses and things and whatever.
Like
We've
on
talked about
TikTok.
it. I love it. I don't get. I mean, it's crazy. I'm like, people pay to give them fake gifts. I'm like, okay, but it's a
But
thing. So
it's
we
the
consider,
it's the ability to monetize likes more so,
yeah,
which it is great for the content creator because it's a way in order for them to be able to bring in. So just think about it on your network. If you have actors or people who came on and they pop up onto a stream because you said you have live streaming, and then just because they seen them on a podcast and they may be able to ask them or comment something, this creates the ability for that person to split revenue share with the platform and them for just make money for just showing up. So
absolutely.
yeah,
So
it's kind of cool. It's different, but it's cool.
yeah, we've considered that because we have a lot of like celebrity guests that come on the show. We have we with the live streaming, we were going to do a show, Dining Divas After Dark, which is going to be like, us live, no editing, right? So like it always turns into a fun conversation when a bunch of women are drinking wine and cooking, right? So it's like, the food porn. But no, it's always a fun time. And so we're going to do a Dining Divas After Dark, episode with like different chefs all the time. So like that's really attractive, I think, to a lot of people because we're using cookware, like as far as sponsors, cookware and wines, and then, having these celebrity chefs with us and having a fun, engaging conversation that people can actually like in real time comment and engage with us, ask us questions like while we're shooting. Like that's cool. So we're considering possibly doing that.
No, I'm looking forward to it. Trust me. Like I said, I drink. It's like I love all the W's. Women, wine. I'm cool. I will
Fun
support.
thing. Yeah. But I will say we are all about positive impact TV. So like we're never fighting. We're always laughing. We're always telling jokes. We're always being fun. We're always doing something crazy, wild, cool, horses in the snow or canoeing down the river, doing an interview in a kayak. I mean, we're always doing crazy fun stuff. But I really push on that self-development. Like I built my company on that kind of mindset. So we're really big on just being positive impact, educationally focused, and entertainment driven.
And I've seen some of your content, and it's tasteful. It's not Love and Hip Hop. It's not Real Housewives. It
Yeah.
is. It's informative and it's also entertaining, and that's the type of things that I look to, like spend my energy on because you are what you eat. That all you are what you entertain. You are what you put your time into. So it's great to still be able to get access to women in entertainment without them projecting themselves in an unsightly manner, because like these are still people that we would like to have conversation with, do business and things with, but I don't necessarily know. Like it's an issue for me the way how I'm limited on how I can project myself in social media because of the way it will be a reflection of my business. And I
Mm,
feel if more people thought like that, social media wouldn't be what it is today.
yeah. Well, some people work a 9 to 5 job and they don't feel like they get affected by it. So they, but I,
I
but I, I,
just
I I believe you. I mean, I agree with you on that for sure, because a lot of entrepreneurs are very mindful of that because they know the effects.
I just seen a very interesting post on social media, and it was funny. It was like, should your employer get access to your social media profile? You just imagine how that would change things. But
Absolutely. Well, then they would be posting on their profiles.
they will have Instas. Everybody have a fake Instagram. Everybody would, so they can be them real selves. But it's more of, and you probably can attest to this. We really live in a world that is built around actors and acting. No matter what you have to do, you have to present yourself in a certain capacity because I have to be this way for this business meeting. I have to be this way as a parent. I'm a father of 3 boys, so I get it. And just you even social media, I have to be this for social media, and it's just we're always acting, but it's for the best, because sometimes the face that you have to put on is better than who some people truly are sometimes.
That's true.
But we live in an interesting time. So what are your outside of the streaming app, because I know you said you have like a 10-year plan. What are your immediate goals as far as outside of the application release? And just for the record, I've listened to everything that you say. You are very bright. Like I
Thank
can
you.
tell. No, you have real vision, and I can tell that you set the framework in order for things to roll out just by the way how you speak. So like you're
Thank
very
you.
intelligent. Yeah.
I really, really, really appreciate that. Thank you. Yeah, I know sometimes people are like, "You're doing too much," and I'm like, "No, I'm not. I'm like, this is a plan. Like, you got to roll the things out in steps, like you're saying." So I definitely like, have a game plan for everything that I'm doing. I'm like, all right, I'm going to do this by the first quarter of this year. I'm going to do this by 6 months in. So and it all fits in the ecosystem. So like, in order to be successful, you need to have a lot of revenue streams. And it can be within within one container, one ecosystem. So like some people, yeah, they do stocks and then they have investments here and then they're in all different fields and that works for them. But for me, I have to stay, like, in order to be successful in entertainment, really stay in my ecosystem. Like I have offers all the time. People are like, hey, you want to shoot a movie with me? You want to do, and I'm like, it's not in my ecosystem. Like that sounds great, but I have to pick and choose my projects and they have to make sense for what I'm doing and how does it elevate my end goal and my exit strategy, right? So we are launching with the whole Diva brand. We have, it's a movement. It's literally a movement. Everywhere we go, everywhere we travel to, I mean, the impact that we're making, the way people light up when they are with us, and it's just, and what they say about it, it's really, it's changing me. You know, it's impacting me, and really just making me realize how much people need this and they want this. And so we have the Diva Network. So under our parent company, we have 4 LLCs currently. We have the Diva Network, which I'm partnered with my friend Adora Evans. She runs my Dining Divas Texas chapter, and she's been in self development for 23 years with Napoleon Hill Foundation and worked with Les Brown and all the big names and Dennis Waitley. And so she is running the Diva Network, which is where the audience and other people can join. And we do virtual meetings every Wednesday for an hour where we train on different topics. So we've done like the personality types and how to work with different colors and people, and without offending each other. And it's important. We call it diva training, like how to be the best version of yourself. We do like we have different influencers that come on and teach different um, technologies and new things that you can use to make your life easier, whether it's AI or some kind of program or whatever. And then after we do that hour of whatever training it is, we do an hour of networking. So we have women from and men. We have men on our calls too, from all over the world that join the Diva Network. And so it's really great to be able to connect people and have them be part of what we're doing. And so that's going really well. And then we also have Divalicious by Dining Divas, which is our brand. So we have clothing, we have a vodka coming. We've got a lot of stuff that we're going to be launching under that in the next, couple months. So, and then we have the TV shows, and then we have the app. So it's all in the ecosystem.
And I'm sitting here just listening, and I'm like, you're amazing. Like you're a gem because you understand parts of business that most people struggle with. You understand yourself enough to know like this is outside of me. This is outside of what I'm able to provide. So I'm going to stay within my ecosystem and focus on my end goal. You have your plan A, and you have parts that can possibly accompany plan A. But if it's anything that can be a plan B, you're like, no, I can't do it. I can't do it. And I respect that so much. Even because I can see how you got where you are just by understanding what you are and what you can provide as it pertains to your business and to the world. That is very important as to know yourself as an individual and as a business person. You it seems as if you're very realistic with yourself.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean it's always scary, when you're just throwing things out there and you're just creating stuff and not knowing where it's going to end up. But I think, one thing I've learned is to trust myself, and a lot of my ideas come to me in my sleep. So I know like that's either from God or it's just what it's supposed to be. But I feel like I just follow whatever that is that comes to me, and I just I'm an executor. Like, so I'm not gonna, if something goes wrong, I'm not gonna give up. I'm not gonna quit. I'm going to pivot and I'm going to find a solution to it. So, there's been things that I've wanted to, and I also have learned in entrepreneurship. I think this is the most important because people want results now. They want them like immediately, like, oh, I'm going to create a business and then I wanted to start making 6 figures. Like, and they don't realize the amount of time that it takes. It's just the laws of the universe that, you have to plant the seed and you have to let the seed grow. It's not going to just be a plant just because you put the seed in the ground. So, that's an important part. And so some of these ideas that are happening right now, like that are actually in production and happening, are ideas I had 3 years ago, and so I know that these things take time. Like, I mean, this vodka, this is my little mock-up bottle of my vodka, my liver print. I wanted to do a wine before COVID, and then COVID happened and the wines couldn't come in because all the crazy logistics happening over in Italy. And so then now that kind of got put on the back burner, but I know I wanted a product, a tangible product in hand. And we're big in the business of food and alcohol. So then a vodka came my way. And so it's like, these are things that you have to kind of manifest them to fruition and kind of plant the seed and let it grow. And now it's finally coming too. So, I think a lot of people, they look at what I've done and they're like, wow, how did you do? And it's like, this is like a lot of hard work. And like, this isn't like, oh, I just one day just said, I'm gonna do a TV show. And it was just like magically amazing. And everything just worked out for me. It was not like that at all. There was a million things.
They only see the end result.
Yeah. People would have no idea. I actually want to do a documentary. It's one of the projects I have for 2025 on building the dining empire, because it's a crazy story. The people that have tried to like deter me or try to steal from me or try to, all the things that all the outside forces that you deal with, and also trying to stay focused and stay on path for what you're trying to accomplish. And so it's just a really crazy, wild story. I think big any big project like this always has those kind of fun storylines that people will really engage with and find to be entertaining. But I'm excited about the future of it.
No, I see you have a bright future. One because you have a plan. That's always the most important. You have a plan and you understand where you want to go in life, and you're like how you said you're an executor. So kudos to you. If it's any way I can help you with anything that you're doing, I will. Because
I
I
love
love.
that. Thank you. I appreciate that. Well, we know we are doing Dining Dudes. I just want to say so that is another project that I had for many years on my mind and things I wanted to do. And I've tried to pull it together with a group of guys. They just weren't men are not as good at collaborating as women. So trying to get guys to follow
Terrible at it.
the
Terrible.
same blueprint that I created for the Divas was like, I was like, oh, this isn't working the way that I thought it would. But it is on the chopping block, and I definitely want to do it because it is actually hilarious. Like, we got a group of guys together from all different walks of life, ethnicities, backgrounds, guys that would probably never hang out together, and we got them together to do like a pilot, and they were freaking hilarious. I mean, it was so funny. So I'm like, all right, I just need to like, with that project, I have to babysit more than the girls. The girls can kind of take off and do their own thing, and they know how to create. But I'm like, but it's gonna be so worth it because they're so funny. So it's definitely, I would like to do Dining Dudes in different markets, just like the Divas. I really want to be the hub for food and travel content. I always say food and travel are the two things AI can't take away from us, right? AI can go do a whole Superman movie, but it cannot go and have the human experience of tasting food. Cannot
See,
have
you
the human
keep on
experience.
proving me right. You're very bright. You're a genius because I tell people all the time, is your business essential? Can you outlive this technology shift? And you just expressed that you've already thought about it. And you were fortunate enough to already align yourself in a business model over 6 years ago that that can't be replaced because this no matter what advancements we do in artificial intelligence, I cannot see it replacing what it is that you're doing in media right now.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. And media is really where it's at. I mean, just the shift of media after COVID has been wild. I mean, it's exciting. It's an exciting time to be in media. It's a must. Content is king. They've said it for many, many years, and people didn't get it, but now it is king more than anything. And I think with the food and travel like that. So like one thing that I noticed, like Food Network, for instance, very political. The same, I mean, Bobby Flay, Gordon Ramsay, and Guy Fieri, how many shows can they have each? I think Bobby Flay's on his 10th show. Like, it's like, where's the diversity and the, it's crazy to me. And there's
Um,
no women foodies on Food Network. There are women chefs, but no foodies. And I'm like, what if we like to dine, like we're fancy, like
No,
so
and that's very true. And it's the when we look at the media conglomerates, I can't remember the dude who just passed, net worth over like 93 billion dollars. They actually made the TV show Succession based off of him and his media conglomerate. But male dominated industry, still the media network is male dominated. Most aspects of business are male dominated, even with us in the cannabis industry, male dominated. And that's the main reason why. The craziest thing is, even though with our current political climate, when we look at other countries, some of the countries that have women running them, they do very well financially. I know one thing about some of the women who are in my life. I just give them the money and they handle the bills, and everything always gets taken care of. It always gets taken care of. I don't have to worry about nothing getting cut off. So I'm like, I'm okay with that level of being responsible and accountability. And I just can understand that also sometimes they can be more logical than men, which is not always expressed, and a little bit more diplomatic as well. So I can understand why you say you need to babysit the men a little bit more than the women, especially with some of my personal experiences with my male counterparts. We sometimes we have a power struggle dynamic, and it's just we live in a misogynist society. Like everything is male dominated. So a male, whenever they're in, usually they're going to naturally have the urge to want to dominate in that space. And
Yeah.
sometimes that causes for us to have some form of discord. But if everybody can understand, like you're all equal here, it sometimes it works out. Sometimes.
Yeah, it's really about how you're presenting too. Like I always say like if everybody is collaborating, everybody is contributing, everyone feels good about it. Like somebody asked me like how did you build your company? Like I mean I built it with no money and all these people jump on and jump on. Now we have investors, but that was only just last year in year 5 when we started raising money. So I mean I tried it multiple times but nobody was seeing the vision. I have a big belief you build it they will come. And I know for a lot of people that's scary because they don't know what the end is. They want the whole plan up front, and it's like it doesn't really work like that. So, but everybody always asks me that on podcasts, like, how did you do it? How did you get so many people to jump on board? Like everybody in the company is successful. They're successful in their own way and whatever, but they're coming on board because I give them a platform to express themselves, to help build their wealth. And so if they're in real estate, then they're more open to a bigger audience to talk about their real estate, or to go to these fancy events on behalf of Dining Divas, but also find more real estate clients. Like so whatever it is, because they're all the women are in different businesses and they're all entrepreneurs, but giving people a chance to put in what they can and also receive back from it. It's collaboration. It's the key to success. It's like Napoleon Hill talks about. So that's how I built my company, is just giving people a right to be able to have a voice in the company. So it's not like I'm like, no, you have to do it like this. So that's where we've been very successful.
Um, Another business question.
Hmm.
Right now, are you a private business?
Yes.
Do you ever plan on possibly going public anytime in the future? Because I do see you having the potential to be a very large network and also rival what we see today. Because I'm not gonna hold you. When you said it, I seen like at least 7, 8 Gordon Ramsay shows pop up. Guy several, and they it's no new people coming about in the Food Network. I know because the women around me watch them shows, and usually I'm sitting on the couch watching the grocery cart games or something with them, and I've only seen the same people for probably the last 10 years.
Yeah, it's crazy, right? So with food, I mean, food brings people together. Food is based off of cultures and diversity, and yet we don't see enough of it in the food content space for the big networks. I mean, we have all these foodies on Instagram, but when you're talking about an actual show with meat and potatoes and storylines, you don't see that. And also travel. I always say too, like Travel Channel is showing all ghost stories. They have 5% travel content, and we were part of that 5%. So it's really a great time, I feel like, for us to step up and be that niche network for travel, food, and lifestyle content, and be a voice for diversity, bringing unique people, unique stories to the show, to the network, and being more hip and modern, because food and travel shows are a little blah, like, and I feel like there's so much more fun that can be done around them. So
How do you feel? Because you just mentioned like the Instagram people. How do you feel about the food critics on Instagram? Because a lot of them favor where I'm from, and one of them is where I'm from, and I've seen them help businesses, and I've seen them hurt businesses just based on Instagram posts. How do you personally feel about that?
yeah, I mean, I guess there's a need for critics of all different types. I mean, look, they have like, what is that thing on the news that they do, like dirty something, dirty diners or something, where
Yeah.
they report, like, I guess it's important, right? Because you want to know if the place is not clean, and you don't want to eat there. So I can see why food critics are necessary. I choose not to. That's not really my business model. I'm more about storytelling. So we don't do anything like that, more than just talk about things that we love and things that we like and why we like it. Like this was very savory, this was cooked perfect, to perfection. The outside was crispy, like that kind of stuff. But I mean, yeah, it's a necessary thing. You got to have people that tell you, hey, don't go to that hotel because there was bed
Like,
bugs. What are you gonna do? Like, someone's got to do it. So.
Oh yeah, and you you learn the hard way when you start going to hotels in Fort Lauderdale that everything that's shiny ain't good here. No, I've enjoyed my Florida experience. It's truly, it has made me a better person. I can tell you that much. It makes you
Florida's fun.
like Florida is like the sunshine, the environment from being from an inner city environment and also growing up on a military base. This is peace. I enjoy this a lot. So, and I like almost. I don't. Are you originally from Florida?
I am.
Okay, so for me, like I'm originally from Detroit, but I felt the need for me to transition here in order for me to grow and scale my brand. And Florida has not been anything but kind and assisted me in doing exactly that.
Awesome. Awesome. That's great to hear. I love that.
Yeah, that's why I'm like Florida has for sure assisted me like dramatically. So just in closing, once it, like I don't know if anybody was really paying attention who's going to be like watching this, but you gave so much business insight just by expressing your story. And if anybody just listens to the things that you say, you can help them to be able to walk in a similar fashion that you are right now. If not, be able to take at least the same skill set and mindset that you have and implement that into their brand and business to be able to grow. Because one, you said several great things, but the ecosystem part, understanding your ecosystem and catering to that, I feel like that is one of the greatest things that people can take apart from this, outside of the way you developed and you've grown throughout the years, being consistent and the building it issue. There's so many great taking points from this podcast.
Thank you. I appreciate
No, I
that.
appreciate you. If you have any closing statements and anywhere where the people can find you, I would greatly appreciate if you could share it with them.
Yeah, I mean, one of the great things is that, we let the audience travel with us. So we're doing our mastermind and Exumas in like 2 weeks. So we still have a couple slots open for that. So if anybody wants to participate, I'm not sure if you're familiar with Lisa Nichols, but we've got Lisa Nichols running deep transformational work. She's one of the most sought after speakers right now in the coaching space. So really excited to be working with her. And then we do our masterminding with other high level entrepreneurs, and we do all the fancy stuff. We've got toes in the sand dinners and with private chefs, and we're going on big mega yachts and all the cool stuff too. So it's a life changing experience. This is my favorite episode I do every year. I did it in St. Lucia, I did it in Mexico, now we're doing it in the Bahamas. But and then if you want to be a participant on any of the shows, we're always looking for great stories to be told. And then I just suggest you watch the show for yourself and join the dining empire and just be part of the movement.
Do you do any vegan dining?
We have, yeah, absolutely. We've done all different types of cuisines.
I have like the 98% plant-based diet.
Oh, okay. I had do you know Slim Stunner, the influencer in Miami? Yeah,
Mhm.
he's a vegan too, and he came on the show, so we did some special stuff for him.
No,
Before.
that's amazing. Not, but even still, like I social media.
Dining Divas TV, Christine Curran. If you go to my Christine Curran Instagram, all my tabs are there in my bio. You can go explore all the fun. I've got like 10 Instagrams because we've got Dining Divas New York, Texas, California, Destination Divas, Dining Empire. So we got a lot going on. But you can go to Christine Curran and find all the
Amazing.
fun things.
Even the fact that you can manage that many social media platforms and you've been able to connect in all these different states and have people willing to support what you're doing in other states, that that is the same thing that McDonald's went through, being able to franchise and grow something. And I just said this previously because I was watching the presidential debate of all things. And I was watching it on C-SPAN, and I started to think about C-SPAN's future, or excuse me, their past, like how they came about. And then you just think about a media company. A media company is as simple as somebody going out with the camera or a notepad and at one point in time, they're getting the scoop or they're getting the information. Now, when you have people that you can network with and you can get this in multiple states, you no longer have to travel and do this. You just give this person this appointment schedule. Like, I need you to be here. Here's your media pass. So the direction and the ability that C-SPAN had at that time in order to, grow and scale into what they became today, we can literally walk that same step and we can build media conglomerates that can actually be something that is living in the next 100 years, because a lot of these corporations will not be in place. We're seeing transitions with CEOs stepping down, but also it creates opportunity for us to assert ourselves and for our brands to become these new 100, 200, 300-year brands. So,
Yeah.
and I feel like you will be one of those brands because you
Oh,
have
thank
already.
you. That means so much. I love it. Thank you.
Well, no, it was a pleasure having you, and please let me know when you're ready to do dining dudes. I'm there.
Yes,
I got
I
plenty of
love
suits.
it.
You're gonna give me a reason to buy more suits.
All right, all right. Yeah, for sure. Let's definitely stay in touch and talk about it.
Well, yes, ma'am. I appreciate you, and once again, thank you for coming on Trust Fund Baby podcast. And
Thank
until
you.
next time.
Thank you. Bye.